girls and boys and queers.
Pirate Girl here.
Pirate Girl.
How are you all doing? How have you been?
I've been very up and down. If you saw my last video, you'll know all about my struggles.
But enough about me. I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about, you know, big ideas. I love big ideas. So I want to talk about story, and I want to talk about how important story is to what makes us human. Story is actually the thing that differentiates us from other animals. It's the thing that makes us human. True. Story is actually the reason why humans have been able to take over the entire planet. It's story. Story is a thing that has allowed us humans to work together in massive groups in flexible ways. That's the kind of key pin.
So I want to tell you all about it, but I also have to do some boat work. I haven't been to the boat in a while, and she's got water in the bilges, and I gotta mess with the anchors, and so you're just gonna have to come along. Let's go.
Damn, there's a lot of fucking water in here.
So, up until about 70,000 years ago, the archaeological record shows no difference between, say, wolves or jellyfish or bears than humans. We were just like all other animals, and our influence on the environment was exactly the same.
Animals live in a completely objective reality. Okay, this is an assumption, obviously. But, you know, talking from personal experience with my dog, she communicates to me about when she needs to be fed, when she wants to go out, when she wants to play, when she wants to cuddle. Those are emotional needs, I suppose. But she's not philosophizing with me about why I'm the leader of the pack. Birds will talk about wanting to find a mate, where to build a nest, where the best worms are. You know, physical things in an objective world, right? What do you reckon? Philosophical debate?
But then, about 70,000 years ago, something changed. Yuval Noah Harari talks about this in his awesome book, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. He calls it the cognitive revolution.
So what they say is that like 60,000 years ago-ish, something changed in our brain where we started to create story. We started to create a subjective reality. We started talking about why are we here and what are we supposed to do, about God, about spirit.
And I imagine that we actually were intuiting the truth because most indigenous cultures believed that spirit is in everything. Duh.
So we can tell this in the archaeological record because there started being things like art, like paintings on the walls, like beads and ritual objects. Culture. We started creating culture and we started passing that down. And about this time, Homo sapiens traveled out of Africa. I believe some other homos were already spread around. Erectus, you know. Ooh, Erectus. It's kind of fun to say. And the other guys, Neanderthals.
It's because of all these stories that we're able to organize in such massive groups worldwide sometimes in really flexible ways. Now think about this. No other animals do this. I mean, there's bees and termites and ants. They work together in really massive groups, right? But in really rigid ways. They have their hierarchical structure and they don't differ from that. There's no ant that grows up and decides it wants to be an artist instead of a worker bee. And then there's mammals Mammals can work in really big groups. I mean, not that big. The thing, like you look at apes, right? They have to be in relationship with each other. They have to all know each other to be able to work in an organized way. Take a football stadium and fill it full of apes, and you will have absolute fucking mayhem. Chaos! But you take that same football stadium and you pack it full of humans, and you will have a relatively organized event. And that's because the story of the football game gives it context. It lets us know what the guidelines are, how to behave, how to treat each other, what we're doing, what we're organized around, so that each of us are still completely individual beings, but we can work together in these massive ways. And this is why we've been able to take over the fucking world. So all of our institutions, all of our, you know, governments, countries, banks, laws, judicial systems, education systems, all of these things are made out of story. It's all the infrastructure, but then it's, of course, all the story that's intertwined through all that. So we've gotten to the point now where, yes, we live in a physical reality, but a lot of us, a lot of the time, are living mostly just in the subjective reality. Now think about it, like money. Money is one of our biggest stories. All around the world, people have agreed to believe that this little piece of paper or this numbers on a computer screen represent actual value, and that we can trade it for things like food. Now you can do that all over the world. That's one of the most widespread stories. Our whole civilization is built on a story, and that story is wrong. That's why so many of our institutions are failing. That's why it seems like shit's breaking down. It's because the story that our civilization was built on is false. But the thing is, it's changing. We're starting to realize that we are all one. Our science is starting to catch up, and it's starting to actually prove all of these indigenous peoples right. Spirit is in everything. And in fact, consciousness is all there is. But the exciting piece of this that I think is really exciting is that story is so powerful. And if we could just change our story, our underlying story, and the stories that we tell, how powerful that would be, how powerful that is. And that is Pirate Girl's mission, changing our story. Story is our superpower. It's really important that we start telling stories about what's happening, what's really going on. Consciousness is rising. So many of us are waking up. And story is the key to this new earth rising. We got this. Pirate Girl! See ya!
much.